welcome back to another episode of Movie Bracket Challenge. This is my recap of Pinocchio 1940 movie. Pinocchio is a wooden boy that Geppetto has made. And he's very detailed, great creation, and Geppetto is a wood shop maker. Geppetto sees a falling star one night and wishes upon it that Pinocchio, this great creation that he has made, would become a real boy and his son. So the blue fairy comes down in the middle of the night while Geppetto sleeps and makes him just that. Well, he's still a wooden boy, but he's alive. And the blue fairy asked Jiminy Cricket, my best friend Wendy's favorite character, or one of, and Gail's, her mom. Hi, Mama Gail. To be the conscience for Pinocchio. When Geppetto wakes and realizes he has a son, he's thrilled. He's over the moon excited. It's so sweet. I love Geppetto and I love how much he loves Pinocchio. And Pinocchio loves him right back. But Pinocchio gets himself in trouble because Pinocchio is very naive. On the way to school one day, Pinocchio meets the fox. Or at least I think he's a fox. But he meets these characters that are very, very shady. They get Pinocchio in a bunch of trouble. First, by working for a man who ends up stealing Pinocchio and putting him on a cage. Blue Fairy has to come to the rescue. At this point, we do know that when Pinocchio lies, his nose grows. And he lies to the Blue Fairy on how he got in trouble. He doesn't want to admit that he fell for a trick. But the Blue Fairy eventually learns the truth, puts Pinocchio's nose back the way it belongs, and Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket escape. Pinocchio still gets himself in trouble again by the fox, who ends up leaving him in the way to Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island, Pinocchio does a lot of bad things, or a lot of naive things. He follows the wrong people, becomes friends with characters that are more than shady, that are downright villains. Pinocchio, though, while he's on the island and turning into, I think, a donkey, finds out that his father, Geppetto, has been swallowed by a whale. Jiminy Cricket is reading this to him. But Jiminy Cricket said, but he's still alive. He's just in the bottom of the whale. So, which is in the bottom of the ocean. So Pinocchio is off to save his father. Because as much as he is naive and has been led stray, he loves his father and will do anything for him, including go to the bottom of the ocean and be swallowed by a whale. And he's swallowed by this whale, but he gets to Geppetto, who is saddened and depressed inside the whale, but as soon as he sees Pinocchio, he lights back up. With him is the cat, the goldfish, and the family is back together. And Geppetto is okay with it. He seems quite okay with living in the whale as long as he has Pinocchio. But Pinocchio is not going to have it. His father is getting out. He tries to say they'll swim towards the mouth of the whale. But Geppetto says, no, I've already tried that. It doesn't work. So Pinocchio comes up with a plan to get the whale to sneeze. This does work, but it angers the whale. Pinocchio gets this by burning everything. He makes a big bonfire on the boat where Geppetto has been living, on the ship. So he makes a big bonfire. He breaks the chair that they can sit on. He takes all the wood they can be burning, and he's going to make a big fire and a lot of smoke, and he's going to burn. And Geppetto is reluctant, but he does as his son has requested. He makes a big fire to get out of the whale. They paddle on this little raft that the Geppetto has made for them, and they paddle really hard to get out of the whale. Once the whale sort of kind of sneezes, and he pops out of the whale's hole, and they have to fight the ocean. And they do. They paddle real hard, they work together, and they escape. But when they get to the land, we see Geppetto laying on the beach, half out of it. We see Jiminy Cricket's there, and then we see Pinocchio face down in the water. It seems Pinocchio didn't make it. He didn't survive, but he was brave and unselfish. So we get back to the home of Geppetto. He has Pinocchio laying on the bed. He is sad, he is crying, he is grieving for his lost son. But the Blue Fairy says that Pinocchio has been brave and honest and unselfish. So he makes Pinocchio a real boy. Pinocchio awakens, goes to his father and says, "Why are you sad?" His father says, "Because you're dead." And he says, "No, I'm not. I'm alive." And then he looks at his hands and he realizes he's not only alive, he's a real boy now. Not a puppet any longer, not made of wood any longer, but flesh and blood. He's so excited. And Geppetto realizes his son is alive and is a real boy. And they dance around the home, setting off all the clocks. Jiminy Cricket is thrilled, the cat is thrilled, the goldfish is thrilled, and they are dancing and celebrating and rejoicing. And Jiminy Cricket walks outside, looks up at the stars, which Geppetto had once wished upon, and asked, and says to the star, "Thank you. He deserved it." And at that moment,
You do? Huh? Well, I'll be. My. Solid gold, too. Oh, I think it's swell. When you're
is given a gold star of his own on him, 18 karat gold, that says he is unconscious now. And he is so happy and so thrilled and so thankful to the Blue Fairy. And I love the music at the very end. If I usually turn movies off at the end, but I can't help it with the last song in the music. So if you get a chance, watch that. And let me know. Is this your vote? My recap of Home on the Range. I really love this movie. I hadn't actually seen it before, so this movie challenge actually opened me up to the movie and to go watch it. And it was great. It's a 2004 movie. It's really sweet and cute and a lot of fun. The movie starts kind of on a sad note. We hear Maggie's voice. We should go with the character's voice. And opens up, and a lot of the cattle had been stolen at her farm. So her home farm goes under. So she's sold. She's sort of given to Piece of Heaven, which is going to be her new home. She's very award-winning cow, and she has a very big personality. She doesn't really rub the other cows, or at least Miss Calloway's, quite right. Grace is the third cow, and she's much more upbeat and positive and looks at everything glass is half full. But Maggie impresses the pigs with her tricks and her eating ability. She is a big cow. She gets to know her new home, which really is a piece of heaven. The owner is a sweet lady. who really seems to value all the animals on the farm. Everybody seems to be like one big family. Um, Maggie seems to like it there, even though it's not really home yet for her. But she's not there very long when the owner gets a notice of eviction. The owner is Pearl, and Pearl is so sweet and kind and really saddened. She doesn't take the eviction real seriously at first. Apparently, she's gotten like bank notices before. Um, but the sheriff, who is giving her the eviction notice, says, take this one seriously. He really does seem to really love Pearl. So you can see the bond there and the sweet, like, small town kind of caringness. Uh, he kind of has his own interesting animal with him, and that is the horse, who thinks that he is just kind of the all and be all. And he has a big personality. He wants to be chasing and capturing criminals and beating up people. He has a very wild imagination. His horse. So all the animals are kind of nervous because they're going to lose their home and each other, really. So the cows come up with a plan, and they're going to go try to get the money and save Piece of Heaven, which is their home. And Maggie really is forceful in this and like leading the troops on it. And I feel like it's so sweet that the other cows are in it with her, even though they don't really get along with her yet. Well, Grace gets along with everybody, but Miss Calloway is more hesitant about trusting Maggie. But either way, they're off. And first they think that they can get like $60 from winning a prize if Maggie wins first place again. But they find out that's not enough money. They need $270. And where are they going to get this much money? But they see a bellsman going to hunt down this criminal, and it's exactly the amount of money they need. So they decide they're going to get the criminal first. Meanwhile, this kind of bondsman, who is going to chase down the criminal, he tells the sheriff he needs a new horse. And so the sheriff gives him his horse, who we know thinks that he is just incredible. And of course, the horse is so excited. And the horse's name is Buck, who thinks that he is the all and be all. And he's very excited to be on this adventure and capturing somebody. And so he thinks that this is just the best thing. So they ride off into the sunset. Cows attach themselves to a wagon going in the direction they need. So while they're on the roads, they pass a big thing of cattle, and the cattle are a bunch of males trying to pick up these three cows. And it's really funny to see the pickup lines, and very cheesy pickup lines that these cows kind of pick up the other cows with. The male cows try to, I don't know what the names of them are, I'm so sorry, but it's cute and it's funny. But this is where we meet our villain, Slims. Slims has this amazing ability to like yodel or sing and put all the cows into a trance. And that's how he steals the cattle. And the cattle follow him and this music he makes. And he's been stealing cattle everywhere. He even gets two of Maggie and Mrs. Calloway to go into the trance too, but not Grace. Not our singing Grace. She doesn't fall for this at all. So she ends up being able to break the spell on Maggie and Mrs. Calloway. But they now know who's been stealing the cattle, or well, they knew who the person was, but they see him. So they have to capture him so they can get the money. We see Buck arrive with his man bounty hunter, and he's really proud. But wouldn't you know it, as soon as they run into each other, Buck gets stitched because apparently he's too distracted by the cows or frightened. That's what his bounty hunter thinks. So Buck is disappointed, but he's going to help the ladies, the cow ladies, with their adventure. But he's not much help, I guess. Yes, he is some. But they get into a bit of trouble. They do capture Slims, but wouldn't you know it, the bounty hunter is actually working with Slims. So he's trying to get Slims back. Slims, we find out, has actually been dressing up as a well-to-do person to buy all these lands that he's stolen the cattle from. He's trying to buy all of the land up because apparently when he was young, nobody appreciated his talent for wrangling all the cattle together. So he wants to take his revenge. But they learn all this. They do end up having Slims for a little while before he's sort of rescued by his stooges. And he goes off to try and buy Piece of Heaven while the cows got to try and get Slims back and get back to Piece of Heaven. So we see them board a train, the train that had all the cattle loaded up in it, where Slims was going to steal all of them and sell them off to someplace else. And they end up getting into the train and getting the train to Piece of Heaven, where Slims is dressed up as a well-to-do businessman. They get Slims out of his costume and everybody realizes who he really is. The cows have been the heroes. And because they're the heroes, they've won the $270, which saves Pearl's Piece of Heaven. And all the family gets to now live together and be together. Mrs. Calloway, which wasn't very impressed with Maggie in the beginning, is now. And she wants Maggie to stay with them. Grace is thrilled because she loves them both already. And Maggie says Miss Calloway, is it big enough for the both of them? And it is. We see at the end of the movie, all three cows have won first place. Bunch of other animals at wherever they go to do that. So it's a cute movie. It's fun. It has a little quirkiness in it, but a lot of adventure. So it's a fun movie to watch. I hope everybody goes and watches it because I did not see it until now, but I'm sorry I haven't because it's definitely going to be one of my movies to watch now. Thank you everybody for joining me, and let's find out if this is your vote. Don't forget to vote, 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 comment section, and our community page.